Over many years of leading a women's ministry that's primarily focused on helping wives with their marriages, I've learned that there are several principles that have just been key, and they keep on coming up over and over again. In fact, 3 words keep on coming up over and over again as we're equipping wives to deal with challenges in their marriages. And then I realized that 3 of these words all start with the same letter, the letter P. And I thought, okay, it's time that we do a little video and equip you with these 3 words that I think would be easy to remember because they all start with the letter P. The first one is this: pause. Oh my goodness. This can be one of the best tools in your tool belt, ladies, to pause in the middle of a disagreement, in the middle of an argument, when your husband is disappointing you or frustrating you, and you just feel like saying something. And this could even be in any relationship where you feel like saying something. Pause. It is one of your best friends. In fact, Proverbs 12:18 puts it this way: the words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Our tongues can get us into so much trouble in the heat of the moment, right? I'm having a reaction to something you did, and now I just have to say this. And if we will just pause and ask this simple question: how is what I'm going to say going to impact my husband? Is this going to lead eventually to a healthier relationship? Is this going to bring hope? Or is this going to crush him, just make him feel so frustrated that he throws up his hands in disgust and stomps off? I mean, how is what I'm about to say going to impact him? And if it isn't going to be a good impact, maybe I better reel that back in and ask God to give me a different sentence that could come out of my mouth, right? One that would bring hope and healing. And maybe some constructive, requests here, like, I would appreciate it if you don't drive home drunk every day. Okay, but the way I say it, the way I'm about to say this thing, is it going to lead to a better marriage eventually, or is it going to further crush my husband and lead to the dismantling of my marriage? So pausing is huge. Next word is this: pivot. Oh yes. In 2 ways I'm thinking of pivoting. One is to pivot from the past disappointments, past resentment, where, you're constantly reviewing the thing that your husband did 10 years ago, 6 months ago, you're constantly reviewing it. That does not help. In fact, bitterness, resentment, it is like a poison, like a cancer in your marriage if you continue to dwell on the mistakes and disappointments of the past. You just simply cannot do that. But also pivot from your current day things where you're focused on his flaws, focused on the ways that he isn't quite making you happy here, or quite, doing your love language here. You've got to stop focusing on those things and pivot to focus on what he is doing right. And I know he's doing some things right, but we tend to focus on the disappointments, focus on what he's doing wrong. And again, I'm not saying that, if he's grossly sinning against you, you need to confront that issue and perhaps draw a firm boundary. But in general, we need to focus on what is going right, what he's doing right. This is the essence of Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about those things. So do that with your husband. And then lastly, the other P word is pray. Often we long for our husbands to change, and we might try to be, kind of subtly manipulative, or whine, or complain, or nag. And God is the only one that can change hearts. So pray and ask God to change your husband's heart. If he has an addiction problem, if he's been kind of cranky and irritable and maybe even a tad verbally abusive, ask God to invade your husband's heart, to convict him of sin. Ask God to do the heavy lifting that you cannot do. But then also, I want to say this: during moments of conflict, disagreement, misunderstandings, frustration with your husband, pause there and pray and ask God to give you understanding. Like, why is my husband acting this way? Why did he come home and lash out at me? Like, what is going on, Lord? Pray and ask God to give you understanding and discernment of things that otherwise you would not know unless the Holy Spirit gave that revelation to you. This has been so helpful for me when I'm getting a little disappointed and I'm like, okay, Lord, why is my husband acting that way? I'm going to pause and ask you to give me insight. And often God will immediately give me insight. Reminds me of Jeremiah 33:3. God says, call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you did not know. So ask God to give you that understanding through prayer. This often leads to, well, an understanding of your husband and a greater compassion, which again brings some healing into the relationship. The 3 Ps. I think you can remember this, can't you? I know you can. Pause, pivot, and pray.